How are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today, we're going to be talking about the one and only XCN coin. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people say I should be uploading more consistently about this coin. So, you know what? I'm going to listen to the people. But not only that, but actually have become a fan of this coin more and more that I've personally have researched it from the price action and from what I have seen. Now, I do know this coin does have a bright future, but just because it's a bright future, that doesn't mean that on the micro level, there still won't be lower and lower price points. We know overall, before we get into the price action, that right now there are tensions between the world, right? The potential of World War III. And of course, just even if we don't go to World War III, the fact that things can escalate does mean, ladies and gentlemen, right? It does ultimately mean that things like crypto will be potentially taking a hit. We can see right now that Bitcoin has sold off a good amount in the last day and did actually reject fairly poorly um, yesterday, right? The other day. You see the daily candle does not look healthy at all, and then the sell candle looks very bad. But here's the deal, people, right? Here is the deal, right? We have to continue to monitor price action, okay? Because there is some possibility that Bitcoin could just be simply doing a triple tap, right? What I call the triple tap is usually where you have one price point, it goes into a specific type of candle, and then this one goes into this specific type of candle. Now, I'm not going to dive into the whole philosophy now, and I'm not going to go into too detail for Bitcoin as this is an XCN video, but it's just something that we have to keep in mind. So when we go to something like XCN once again, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we have been kind of just ranging sideways overall, right? We have been in recent times, we're going from lower and lower, selling off to more sideways movement, right? We can see, boom, we're bouncing off here and we're kind of around these levels here. So this could potentially be the start of a momentum shift for XCN if Bitcoin and of course the war do not escalate, and that would cause Bitcoin to go lower, right? We can see right now when we go on the 4-hour chart and the daily chart, right? We do technically have lower lows consistently, right? Boom, lower highs, and of course, lower lows down here. So we are kind of in a diagonal channel trending downwards, but on the smaller time frame, right? On the smaller time frame, there could be potential reversal signs. Okay. Now, of course, I'm just gonna mark this up bait as if there wasn't a potential World War III breaking out, because I still believe that a lot of the times there are key details in the technical analysis. So, what would I love to see? Well, for one, I would definitely love to see this zone right over here of 0.013 get respected. Right after we would have that happen, ultimately what I'd love to start seeing is for us to kind of start trending this type of way to eventually break out, retest, and then start shooting up, right? That would be the most ideal scenario for me in XCN. But just because it's an ideal scenario, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So let's talk about something that's more probable, which doesn't necessarily favor us, right? We can see even on the 4 hours, we have been consistently closing lower and lower. The only good thing for us, ladies and gentlemen, is that when it comes to lows, we have been actually closing higher and higher consistently. So what does this mean? Well, this means XCN ultimately has to make a choice. It ultimately has to break to the upside or slam down to the downside. Now, of course, if Bitcoin goes up, the probability of this slamming to the upside is very likely. If obviously Bitcoin drops, $5,000 to $10,000, then this should be kind of common sense that even XCN is going to drop. But we could see, right? XCN has to make a choice, because even if it goes up, right, even if it does close here, it would create a higher low. And then if, again, the maximum it has is just probably like a day left, even if it goes up here and it creates a lower high, right? It eventually has to make a choice, right? It eventually has to make a choice. It is that simple, right? It is that simple. Let's see if XCN did go down, where could it continue to go down to? Well, for me, ladies and gentlemen, the one main zone I see is over down here. Around this, a little bit more than 1 cent, like 1.2 cents is where I would be looking for some type of bounce back. Okay. We can see the last time XCN did have a huge surge, right? It eventually sold off very slowly, but it never really filled this imbalance here. Now, of course, if there was a black swan event, then this imbalance will be getting filled. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind. A black swan event, I mean, 65% drop. Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, that is just what happens when there's a war. So that is the only way I could see that getting filled up. Other than that, there's a high chance that we do bounce off here. And if we don't, then there's a very high chance that we do bounce off just below 1 cent, because that would be filling up the imbalance. We would be going to a daily order block, and ultimately would also be on top of a very, very nice support. So we would have multiple reasons in terms of pure technical analysis to believe that we are going to be holding roughly, sub 1 cent to 1.2 cent area. Now, obviously, we have to take it step by step. Overall, I know this coin is going to be moving in bursts. I also know this coin is going to do very well this cycle. Okay. When we go and look at something like the market cap for this coin, XCN, boom, we can see that we're roughly at 466 million market cap with very nice volume of 54 million. So for me, this coin, just off the top of my head, should hit a easy 20x in my personal opinion based off these prices. Now that doesn't mean just jump in blindly unless you want to, but of course you gotta make your own decision, right? I'm not saying for you to do anything. I'm not a financial advisor, but even if you did go in blindly, you should be most likely looking at a 20x, unless of course World War III breaks out. But yeah, I ultimately do think this coin can easily hit 10 billion this cycle, as I do know there's going to be a lot of adoption, and this is objectively just a great token. We can also see that the community sentiment is at 86% bullish, 14% bearish, so take that as you like. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We are slowly coming to the end of the video. If you would like to join the open free Discord, highly recommend joining. It is the first link in the description. If you do want a portfolio review or coins that we have called out that are going to do very well this cycle, have a very high probability doing well this cycle, then I highly recommend joining the private community, as well as you do get news updates consistently and technical analysis updates consistently. But yeah, ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the end of the video. Let me know what you think about XCN. Do you have a lot of it? How big is it in terms of your portfolio percentage? Where do you think it's going to go? And do you still want to see more of these videos? But yeah, that is it. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.